Greetings, whiskey friends. Welcome to WhiskyWhistle. I'm your host, Mark, and this is whiskey review number 95. With us today is a whiskey from the Isle of Mull. This is called Ledaig. Now, thank you to Mr. Alan Brody. He helped me to figure out the correct pronunciation of this whiskey. I had formerly called it Ledaig, which is how it looks as though it's spelled. But as you know, the pronunciation of distilleries and whiskies in Scotland follows their language. So anyway, Ledaig is the name of this particular whiskey. This comes from the Tobermory distillery, in fact. And if you look back to one of my first reviews of 2016, and in fact also my 2015 Save It Whiskey of the Year, that was Tobermory 10-year-old. So this is Ledaig, this is Ledaig 10-year-old. So the same distillery, largely the same whiskey, with the difference being that this is a peated version. So this is peated, and as it says on the box there, if you can see that, wonderfully peated. So this is the peated version. I'm really excited about this one. So let's see how this does, shall we? We'll get it poured right away. And again, same beautiful cork. I just love the cork that they've made for this one, with an etching of the Isle of Mull. So there, and beautiful, and same, basically the same color as far as I can recall. A very light gold, pale gold shade, which is nice. And this is 46.3% ABV, which is a very specific number. We'll talk about that a little bit. That's about 40 milliliters. And it's unchill filtered. It's also natural in color. Okay. And again, this is from Burn Stewart Distillers, which is owned also in part, owned in turn by Distill. Which is out of, I believe, South Africa, in fact. So interesting. And right away I can smell the peat from that one. The droplet that fell on the bottle. Quite peaty. This is a different sort of peat, though. Not exactly your typical Islay peat. A little bit less of that sort of, what can I call it? Well, just a little bit more earthy, let's say. Okay, so Ledaig 10-year-old, I keep fumbling with the name of this distillery. Ledaig 10-year-old, look at the color again, a very nice lemony yellow, and being unchill filtered, and 46.3% ABV. Very nice slow legs that happen there as well. If that picks up on camera, I don't know, but they're quite slow. Now, the ABV 46.3, I have learned that this is just an extra way to market themselves, for one. So I believe that the Burn Stewart distilleries, there are 3 Scotch distilleries. 46.3 is a nice way to separate themselves from the rest. And secondly, when they have an international spirits competition, that's one of the things that is listed on the sheet. They don't know the name of the distillery, but they see the ABV, and I guess perhaps the age. So they get the age, and they also get the ABV. So by knowing the ABV, knowing that it's 46.3%, now the judge knows that it's one of 3 distilleries, that being Deanston, and I can mention these because they're all part of the same family. Deanston, Highland Single Malt, Tobermory, and Ledaig, which is from the Isle of Mull, and lastly Bunnahabhain from Islay. So those 3 are part of the same company, and they all do 46.3% ABV. So that's pretty cool. So if I were a judge at a whiskey competition, which I hope to be someday, you never know, and I saw that it was 46.3 ABV, I would know right away that it was one of those three, and simply by smelling it, I would know which was which. Is it, well, anyway, at least it lets the person know what they're smelling. And you know, of course, if someone really likes these distilleries, then they may get a little bit of an upgrade in points. However, if someone is not a fan, well, then they may see a bit of a downgrade. So I don't think there's really any benefit in that respect. But in terms of marketability, it's a very unique, very specific ABV, and well, one that certainly adds value to the consumer. So I'm happy about that. Okay, on to the nose. Now, if you're interested in learning more about the distillery, I would invite you to have a look back at my Tobermory 10-year-old whiskey review. Okay, I'll put a link to that at the end of this this video for Ledaig 10-year-old. That way you can compare. I wish I had them side by side. Sadly, because I liked that bottle of Tobermory so much, it's long gone. Okay, anyway, on to the nose, and we'll have a very short advertisement right here. Peat. Big peat. Now this is a Highland sort of peat. Well, or mull, I should say, possibly mull peat. It'd be nice to know exactly where the peat came from. I guess I could have done a bit of research on that one. If you do know if that's Isle of Mull peat or Highland peat, please do let me know. In fact, I believe I may have heard that the peated barley comes from Port Ellen maltings. So that is actually from the Isle of Islay. A little bit of a wind gust blowing here. Anyway, now, despite the peat, and again, that's a very minerally and yet very grassy kind of a peat. So something akin to some other island and highland peated whiskies. In the background, I still do smell, which is one of my favorite smells from the Tobermory 10-year-old, and that is a sugar-coated parsley note. So sugar mixed with an herbal, a herbal note. And lots of lemon noticed as well. A sweet lemon, I should say. So almost like a lemonade concentrate, or perhaps a sour lemon sweet, well, sweet obviously, but a sour lemon candy. Okay, on to the taste. Cheers, everybody. It's very juicy, and if the nose is dominated by peat, the palate is dominated by fruit, and certainly very much related to, entirely related, well, it is the same, related to the Tobermory 10-year-old palate. And well, what else? Vanilla and lemon, some other generic citrus notes there. Still a bit of smokiness on the palate, but again, it's really dominated by the fruit. and something very creamy there as well. So like a lemon custard effect going on, or maybe a lemon meringue pie, including the meringue, and even almost like a graham cracker flavor happening as well. So really like a lemon meringue pie with a few wafts of peat coming through. There's a dryness to it as well, perhaps something like a crab apple. So lemon and graham, a little bit of creaminess, a dry crab apple sort of a note. Speaking of apples, well, it's nice being here in Winnipeg, in the house that I grew up in fact, and we've got a couple of crabapple trees in the backyard. There's a pear tree as well, but the pear tree lost its mate, so there's no pears left on the pear tree. But you know, apples. It's nice to really try a variety of apples, including crab apples, which make just amazing desserts. When you think of apples, when you eat apples, you really want the sweet ones. But if you're making a pie, or if you're making, let's say, applesauce, or doing anything with apples in the kitchen, it's almost like the more sour they are, the sourer they are, the better. Anyway, that's just my opinion. I'm not sure if I'm just getting used to that now, but with time in the glass, the peat aspect is a little bit lessened, and the fruitiness really seems to come out. Okay, let's try that with water now. I think we can safely add a good half teaspoonful, and we'll let that mix in. And while that's mixing, let me just give a quick shout out to Ben Bowers. And if you don't know who that is, this is the gentleman behind A Dram a Day. He's got a very, very active YouTube whiskey review channel that's happening. And his goal is, well, to review a dram a day for the whole year. So 366 days this year. So that's his plan. He's well on his way. And if you haven't watched yet, please do. And if you are able to donate either drams, although I think he's got enough for the year roundabout now, or to make a small donation of a monetary donation, and this will go towards cancer research. So check that out, A Dram a Day, A Dram a Day, D-R-A-M, A Dram a Day, and subscribe to his channel and watch them, and try to donate if you can, as I mentioned. And just recently he went through the review of Tobermory 10-year-old, the former bottling, and also a Ledaig. I think it was an independent bottling of a 9-year-old. So do have a look at that. That would be a nice comparison to this one. So with water, let's see how that smells and tastes, and we'll have a very short advertisement right here. Welcome back. Got a flower on my arm there. So Ledaig 10-year-old with water. And I apologize if I keep saying Ledaig. Again, I keep thinking of the spelling as opposed to the native pronunciation of this particular whiskey. With water, it's a little bit more buttery. Something like a sweet cream butter note is coming through. perhaps on a nice piece of whole wheat rye, well, whole wheat bread with a bit of rye in it, or a nice grainy bun with a bit of butter slabbed on top. Very fresh, and lemon is still quite a large component here. The peat, of course, still dominates, but just a little bit less so. Okay, how about the taste now with water? Really juicy. It's like a nice lemonade with a bit of vanilla added in, or sweetened with maple syrup maybe. I know that's a popular diet drink, lemon juice with maple syrup. Anyway, so it kind of reminds me of that, with that little hint of smoke woven through. Yeah, and a little bit of that crabapple flavor coming through as well. Not a whole lot of a difference with water, just a little bit juicier it seems. And you know, I have to say, I really like this distillery. I like what they're doing. Beautifully made, well aged. I think the only thing that's lacking that Ben talked about was a lack of on-site maturation. They lost their warehouses on the Isle of Mull during a bit of a rough patch business-wise. So that'd surely be nice if they could maybe, you know, maybe even put up a small warehouse on the Isle of Mull somewhere. Even if it only held a few thousand casks, at least that way they could release some special bottlings using the name of the warehouse, or just indicating that that it was distilled, matured, and bottled on the island. But you know, despite that lovely whiskey, and I'm really happy this is available here in Manitoba. Hopefully it continues to be available. I noticed they don't have Tobermory 10-year-old on the shelves, and I can see why. Everybody's kind of going crazy for peated whiskey these days. So almost all of the distilleries in Scotland are making a peated version of whatever they've got. And either it's successful, or it's just kind of like a peated, taking a peated paintbrush and just dabbing that over the original painting. You know what I mean? So in some ways it works, in some ways it doesn't. This one really does work nicely. Tobermory, the 10-year-old, I mean, there's a bit of a peatiness to it to begin with. So you've already got that island character. You've already got a little bit of peatiness, I believe, in the water that's used. So adding a bit more peat in the malt only accentuates what's already there. Last taste here, folks. Oh. If you have not tried this, please do so. Whether you're a peat fan or whether you're just sort of okay with peat, give it a go. I think you'll like that. If you're not a fan of peat whatsoever, probably just go for the regular Tobermory 10-year-old. You can also try Deanston. Very, very nice whiskey. I reviewed that just recently. I believe that was 88 and 89, in fact. Okay, so review 88, 89. Deanston, 88 Virgin Oak, 89 was the 12-year-old, I believe. Okay, or Tobermory, the 10-year-old, lovely, lovely whiskey, and all natural, unchill filtered. This company is really sticking to its guns in that regard. Okay, anyway, so what about the score for Ledaig 10-year-old, unchill filtered peated whiskey from Tobermory Distillery? This is going to get 89 out of 100. That is the WhiskyWhistle whiskey score for Ledaig 10-year-old island whiskey from the Isle of Mull. Okay, and this one, what nickname can I give it? Well, the lemon juice infused peat monster, I guess is what we'll call it. Not a very creative nickname for it, but there it is. Definitely gonna finish this one today. There's still a bit of a herbal note in there, which I didn't mention. Still that bit of parsley in there, very lovely. I think I did mention that. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. This was a little bit of a, we'll call it off-the-cuff review from WhiskyWhistle. I'm your host, Mark, and please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. That'll be right down there in the corner. There's lots more to come here from Winnipeg, and then there'll be lots more to come when I return to Seoul, Korea. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time.